What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I have been on a roll with the sit-down videos recently because I just feel so called to share a lot of the things that have been coming up for me as I've been doing so much just like personal development work, as I've been talking to my clients. It's been a whole shebang. I'm gonna do another sit-down talk with you guys today, and this is one I think a lot of people can relate to if you are a high achiever, if you're somebody who has a goal, if you're somebody who's becoming an entrepreneur. It could literally even be a fitness goal that you have. But I'm gonna speak in terms of my perspective from my story of starting my entrepreneurial journey when I was 18 years old. Okay, also a quick side note, guys, is you can probably hear the birds chirping outside because this is literally 7:45 in the morning as I make this video because I felt that inclined to make this video this morning as I woke up. So sorry if you guys hear that in the background. I want to talk to you guys about what it feels like when you are stepping into achieving a goal that might be different from what everybody else thinks. And sometimes we almost have to be careful about the things that we are sharing because we get a pushback from people who are closest to us. And sometimes it's the people who are the closest to you who don't support what you're doing or what you're trying to achieve in your life, and it makes you question everything that you're doing. And here's the big thing that I've learned is that a lot of perception is projection, and I talked about this in another video that I did just last week. And what I mean by that is when you are telling somebody the goals that you are working towards achieving, they might not support you. They might tell you, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to leave school? Are you sure you want to start that little business? Oh my gosh, you're going to the gym again. These are the kind of comments that we get. When I was 18 years old, I decided that I was going to drop out of my community college and I was going to move down to Florida to live with my sister to pursue personal training. If you guys don't know my background, I started my fitness business about 5.5 years ago now, almost 6, which is so crazy to me. When I started, I had actually just started sharing my eating disorder recovery story on my Instagram when I was 16. So by the time I was 18, I already had about 60 to 70,000 Instagram followers, which back then in 2016, that was huge. That was a lot of people for Instagram. So my account blew up really quickly and people started asking me if I could train them online. And so in my first year of college, I decided that I was going to take people on as an online trainer. And keep in mind, guys, I did not make my Instagram public when I first started it because I was terrified that people in my hometown would find out what I was doing and think that I was extremely weird, because I already felt like the odd one out. I already felt like a weird kid because I had just recovered from an eating disorder. When I was in school, I remember one day specifically, I was in community college and I was walking across campus with my camera, and this group of girls in the cafeteria they were laughing at me. Basically, they were like, oh my gosh, that's that girl who does YouTube. Like, why does she do that? Why does she walk around with that camera? And they were making fun of me. And at the time, I honestly just shut down. I was really upset. I was like, am I gonna keep doing this? Why am I even doing this? What's the purpose of this? And then later that day, I remember this day distinctly, getting on my Instagram account and a girl messaging me and asking me if I would support her with coaching. And then I had a few other messages of people, commenting on my post saying like, hey, I'm proud of you, like keep going, keep doing the thing. Lots of people were following me and, comments of that sort, people who just support you. And I was like, you know what? This is what it's about for me. It's not about those girls in the cafeteria laughing at me. It's not about the people who think I'm weird for vlogging on campus, which I can't believe I did that. It's not about the people who don't agree with me. When you're working towards a goal that is non-traditional, you almost have to live in some kind of state of, not delusion, but just really selfishness. Like, you really have to be selfish about the vision that you have. You have to be selfish about the direction that you're going, because not everyone is going to support you with that. For me personally, when I was 18 years old, I knew that my vision was so much bigger than that. I knew that I didn't want other women to struggle with their relationship with food. I knew that I didn't want to give up trying to build this online empire because I had supported so many people and they had supported me. And at this point, I felt like they were my family. They understood me. And it was so crazy to think that all these strangers online were so much more inclined to support me and were giving me all this love when the people who were closest to me weren't. Keep in mind, I also asked my parents, I sat my parents down, didn't even ask them. I sat down with them in the kitchen one day. I was like, hey mom, hey dad. I had just competed 3 days earlier. And I was like, look, I got a personal training job in Florida. I'm making about $2,500 online already with online coaching. And my mom's like, wait, what? You're like doing this whole Instagram thing. What is this? They had already made me deactivate an account years prior because of my eating disorder. My mom's like, is this why you keep getting all these packages to the house from all these different supplement companies? I was getting sponsored stuff. It was hilarious. My mom's like, where are you getting all this shit from? And I was like, she's like, where do you have the money to get this? And I had been doing online coaching and I had been doing in-person training sessions at my school. At that time, when I told my parents, hey, look, like this is what I'm doing, they weren't super supportive. I remember one of the comments my mom made, which I love her so much. She now is obsessed with what I do. She was like, okay, like we'll see if you come back to school in the fall semester. And I never went back. I moved down to Florida, got an in-person training job. By the time the summer was over, I was full-time online, making over $5,000 or about like $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And then I ended up moving out to California, where I had always wanted to live when I was a little girl. Here's the thing, thing is that you look at that story and you're like, holy crap, as an 18-year-old, I dropped out of college, I moved down to Florida, I moved across the country, and I started this full-time online personal training business, and I was successful with it. I had hit my first 6 figures within my first year of business, and I was only 19 years old at that time. At that point in my life, I think back to little Ken all the time. I'm like, damn, she was so ballsy. Like, she just went for it. She just did whatever she wanted to do. And here's the thing is that I didn't really ask people's opinion of what I wanted to do. I didn't ask people, should I do this? Should I move across the country? Should I do this online coaching thing? It was something for me that I just felt so called to do because I had a bigger vision, I had a bigger purpose, and I had a bigger passion. And here's what I'm going to attribute a lot of this to. I isolated a lot of high school because I did have an eating disorder. And so I didn't really have the opportunity as much to kind of conform to what tradition was. A lot of people were looking at going to big schools. They were looking at universities. I was top 10% of my class. I graduated with like a 4.3 GPA, but it didn't matter to my parents. They didn't want me going to a big school. So I didn't even try to get into that conversation with people of like, oh, well, I'm going here, I'm going here. Not that there's anything wrong with going into prestigious college. I think a lot of people need to for specific professions that we want, but it just wasn't the route for me. And that was okay. And back then I was so ashamed. I remember walking across the stage at the 10% upward. They did like a ceremony and they pronounced everyone. There was some people like Yale, Princeton, Duke, and then there was me, Kendall Strample, Lehigh Carbon Community College, and I was the only person getting on that stage going to community college. And at the time I hated myself. I was like, wow, this is so embarrassing. This is so awkward. And then I realized, wait, I look at myself at the age of 24. I've made multiples of millions of dollars. I've helped thousands of people. My online coaching business is absolutely thriving. We have 27 team members, 27 people who work for me and I provide livelihood for. I wouldn't trade that for the world. I'm grateful for every single step that I took up until this point. But the thing is that not everybody is going to understand. Not everyone is going to understand why you're pouring into yourself. Not everybody is going to understand why you took the leap or why you're trying to take the leap. So you don't have to justify it to them. You don't have to get defensive with them. And the biggest thing for me is I always lean into compassion. When somebody doesn't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, which I typically presume if they don't agree with me, I don't try to justify it. I lean into compassion because oftentimes it is a projection of their own perception. They have a fear that you're going to fail because they care about you. They have a fear that if it were them, they wouldn't be able to do it. So why would you be able to do it? And so that outwardly gets projected onto you so that you feel like you're not able to do those things. And we start to take that in. A really great analogy that one of my friends gave as she spoke at my retreat last week was, think of it like clothing. You're taking these layers of clothing and you're adding them on that people are giving you. You can't do this. You're not capable of that. Are you sure that's going to work out? And then you're wearing all that heavy clothing and it just gets piled and piled and piled up to the point where you just get down. You can't get yourself back up. And so it's our job to continue to either repel those or peel them off. And the way that we peel those off is by focusing on our vision and focusing on our purpose. And so if you are in a state or in an environment where you feel like you're around people that don't support you, get out of the environment, whatever you have to do. I moved across the country with about $2,500 in my pocket, maybe less because I actually backed into my dad's car right before I moved, had to pay for that. And I worked my ass off for the first few weeks before I moved to make sure I could pay to move. I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Chipotle, I did personal training on the side, I was making money online. I did everything I could. And that's what you do when you have a bigger purpose and a bigger vision. I was not going to be a victim to my circumstance. I was not going to stay inside of the environment that wasn't supportive for me. And my parents are amazing. My family is amazing. They support me now, which is so phenomenal. But I knew that if I wanted to do what I wanted to do, I had to get out of there. Online coaching, personal training, all those things, especially back in 2016, weren't even half as big as they are now. And so to tell somebody, yeah, I have this online coaching business where I generate leads from Instagram, they were like, what is that? And so they're not really going to understand. And that's where you lean into that compassion and you focus on your vision and you keep going. You have to almost live in some state of delusion to believe that you're capable of doing the things that you want to do if nobody around you understands them. That's how we create change. That's how we create new solutions. That's how we become innovative. If no one's done it before, good. That's what entrepreneurship is. We're creating solutions that people haven't done. So keep leaning into it. I just want to make this video because if this is something you guys are struggling with, I know a lot of people don't have environments for growth. A lot of people have family members, close friends, etc. around them that don't support their entrepreneurial journey. And I just want you to know that it's okay. Put yourself around people that are going to support you. If you guys are looking for a community of people that can support you, our Wealthy Women's Business Academy group has over 2,000 people who are also creating their entrepreneurial journey and starting to become coaches, starting to become online service providers. Go talk to them. They're going to make you feel seen. They're going to make you feel heard. They're going to understand who you are. Those are the people you need to be around. So I'm going to put that down in the show notes for you guys if you want to join. But I love you guys. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Maybe you learned a thing or two about myself, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.